Channels Television is live at the National Assembly to bring you a blow-by-blow account of the expected debate on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which was laid yesterday. Well, let's now join our correspondent, Terry Ikumi, who is live at the National Assembly for the latest. Terry, it's clearly a big day, right?
Yes, Kyrie, it's a big day. And just to make a quick correction, it's more of a consideration. There's no debate on this. The second reading has come and gone, so there's no debate. They'll consider the report of the House Committee on INEC. And it's a big day for both houses. Both chambers, actually. The House of Representatives is yet to commence plenary, but plenary has commenced in the Senate. And interestingly, both chambers have debunked the rumor, as it was at the time, that there were plans to take out the electronic transmission of results from the bill. But I think the interesting part would be there, or the hope for Nigerians would be that when this comes down to consideration, and then the clause-by-clause consideration comes up, that they will not kill it with a voice vote. And hopefully, the leadership of both chambers who have sworn to uphold, to an extent, the right thing, would probably give extra consideration to that. And I think that one thing that should be made clear, just like if we compare this to what happened during the PIB, where lawmakers were virtually absent, the House of Representatives. We're hoping that we'll have more people seated when this bill is being considered, because there are fears that the lawmakers may not be comfortable with.
Well, Terry, if you can hear me, I'd like you to land on that point, but add to it the fact that, the lawmakers are meant to go on a recess, and the question is, will they be able to complete this process, this consideration, as you've rightly put it, before they go on recess?
Well, the information available to us, Coyote, is that this bill will be passed today. Remember that the goalposts have been shifted a number of times to get to this day. But I think it's interesting that the National Assembly wants to pass this just before going on recess. But barring any last-minute changes, this bill will be passed today. I have spoken with a couple of lawmakers who have said, yes, that this will be passed. But the point I was trying to make just before I got cut off there was that the National Assembly intends to carry out a clause-by-clause consideration of this bill when it comes before the House. And even though there are reports that there are no plans that the electronic transmission results was not taken out of the bill, there's a hope that it doesn't get killed when it gets to that clause by voice votes. That's the hope of the Nigerians, because regardless of what it is, I give you an example that during the consideration of the PIB, the House of Representatives chamber was relatively empty. So if that's the case here, the question would have to be, would lawmakers, especially those in the opposition, conclude that the process was well followed and they trust that everything that will go into the bill was what was deliberated on? Or would it be that it's a case of the opposition will only be able to have their say, not their way? That's the question, though.
Absolutely, Terry. And they're representatives of the people, and the people will expect that they will at least show face and be a part of this process. Maybe that's why the talk about, having, the constituents know how their lawmakers vote, considering these laws are quite important. But can you give us a timeline, really? What are we to expect today? When will plenary begin and the rest?
All right, so plenary will commence in the House of Representatives in the next, say, 25 to 30 minutes. The consideration of the report is supposed to come hours later. It's likely the last thing that will be done today, because there are other legislative processes that must be followed before they get to that. But if the House considers it important enough to want to push it forward, no problem. But until then, we understand that this bill may be passed between 1 and 2 o'clock.
Well, Terry, good thing you are live.
Now would be, hopefully, just like the PIB, the House and the Senate do not pass two different bills.
Well, thank God we have you live at the National Assembly to give us all the updates as they happen. But I'd like to thank you so much, Terry, for this latest update. And please get back to us when you have more.